Alright. Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is Derek Stokes, Stoke Living. This is my wonderful mother. And we've got a little special treat, I guess. This is the first time I've done one of these kind of indoor videos like this. But what we got going on is we are going to make some homemade salsa. She's been doing this for I don't know how many years. I'm not gonna.
Oh, since a child with my mom and grandma, so
Yep.
passing the tradition along.
Yep. Yep. So she does a really good job at it, and we give a lot of it away, and we eat a lot of it ourselves. So we've got quite a few tomatoes off the garden. It's done pretty good. The heat and stuff's kind of stunning them back a little bit. We usually have a little more than this, but it is a very wonderful day outside. If you can see, it is raining, and we are thankful for the rain. So what better thing to do while it's raining than to make some homemade salsa? Okay, so Mom, she's going to give a little overview of what we got here and how we're going to get started with this. So.
Well, I'm just going to tell you the story of how I kind of got started with canning. I was actually worked at my grandmother and my mother's knee as a child, and so a lot of the tricks and the tips that I've got I learned just from doing and from their advice. Yeah. All right, so we're going to push. These will just be used later in the process. I'm going to get them out of our way, and we're going to start. First off, we're going to come and we're going to get our tomatoes. These have just been picked the last 3 or 4 days off of our garden. So Derek's going to show you what our kitchen looks like.
Yeah, this is a very common sight in the summertime, and we just kind of let them out here. There's a few of these that kind of need to ripen a little more, but we're just going to load it up. And
yeah, so I just take and I get just however many of them. I'm not real picky. I'm not worried about spots at this point in time. We'll be cutting all of those off as we work with them. So here's a little overview of our table. This is all of our family and the different things. Different pictures. We got pictures all over.
Pictures all over. That right there is Katie. You can't really see. We're at the Rural Gorge, and she got thrown out of the raft. I did too.
She thought and we thought she was going to die that day. So
yeah, that was pretty extreme. But we got this table. Mom and Dad got this table a few years ago, and Dad just loves having these pictures, and Mom loves it also. And we can just tell different stories about different people in our family. I mean, he goes way back, some older photos here. So that's where the stories kind of come from, and they get bigger and bigger every year.
Oh yeah. They are changing.
Yeah.
History changes, let me tell you. All right, so I have heated this water. It's almost to the boiling stage, and it'll probably get there here in a little bit, but I'm just going to be dropping these tomatoes in there. Just whole. You just drop them in there. And we'll leave them in there for just a couple of minutes, probably 2 or 3 minutes is all. So we're just kind of letting them get hot. So anyway, you'll get your peppers out, and these babies are so stinking expensive, you don't waste a thing. So I break off the top of this, and on the green peppers, I don't use the inside seeds of the green peppers. So I'll have it, once again, you have lots of bowls, and you'll kind of just clean them out, and then you just chunk them up in just some big chunks like this. And I'll go ahead and do that other one, so I'll have a These have been frozen. They've been stuck in the freezer, and they're hard frozen. I have some fresh in there I'm going to use here in a minute too, but that pulled out great. I'm just going to break off. Like I say, these things are so stinking expensive, you don't waste the tops of that.
So she's got all this written down on the measurements. She knows it by heart. I don't know it. You guys don't know it, but I'll put it in the show notes.
I don't know if I want to share my recipe or not. It's like, it hasn't been patented.
I'll taste it first and make sure it's a good batch, and then we'll swirl it
anyway,
down.
and so you can then put them into my food processor here, the chunks. It's easier when they're frozen and chunked like that, or when they're really, really fresh. So, see, there's a, and so yeah, we'll use these. These are going to be for another batch. So that's what I've done here. Is I already did. Derek got up late this morning,
I did.
So I've already done a batch for that. That's enough. You can tell. Sometimes you can tell by looking at, yeah, right here. See, there's a, I don't know if you can see that on that little split in there. That means it's ready to come out.
So that split is just, yeah, the skin's just releasing.
Is just releasing. Not my favorite, but it'll work for today. Somehow to get those out, and then you put them over here. This is cold water.
Cold water.
Okay.
This is where I come in. Well,
okay. Yeah, you're just taking and you're just now. Sometimes if you have a little knife, sometimes the skins don't split, and so you can poke them with that. But you're just, all you're getting off is just the skin.
Yeah.
And you can just drop them in the water there. We'll change that out pretty often on the water.
And you'll take the core out?
Yes, that's another process.
All right, so
see, like this one right here is not.
Yeah, I'll have to kind of get it going. Okay, so I'm just going to taking skins off here. Okay, so we got these peeled, and now Mom's going to show us how we're going to core them. Now, this kitchen didn't always look like this. This is a house that we've grown up in. It's been remodeled several times. Just kind of fit our needs over the years. But these are kind of custom made cabinets. And I like working here because me and Mom, we are rather tall.
The cabinets are actually 4 inches taller than standard. When we first moved into this house, the cabinets were built for a very, very small lady. And they actually were below standard. They were 4 inches below standard. So for 2 pregnancies, I struggled through below standard height cabinets. And of course, I'm 6'2". That's where Derek got some of his height. And so when we remodeled, I told Phil, we're building cabinets where my back doesn't have to strain anymore. Okay, so
we're also probably the only household that stored the microwave on top of the refrigerator.
And we were able to use it.
Yeah. I've yet to go to a house to see the microwave on top of the refrigerator.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we've basically got just the outside skins gone. Get a bowl over here to put the skins in. And so I'm going to just take and slice up to that core and that stem. So I'm just kind of cutting around it. It doesn't have to be perfect little chunks. And I just basically cut around the core, and then we'll just throw the core away. These all kind of cubed up. As we peeled them, poured them, and that's the state. There is a lot of juice.
Do you need the strainer? No. You don't. Oh, you're pouring juice off.
Yeah, just pouring juice off. Well, we put the strainer there. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is I'm trying to get as much of that juice off of there. That, and of course, as it cooks, it's going to pull more juice out of there. But we're going to go back here, and we're going to heat this, get it to boiling. So we cook these for a few minutes. They're starting to boil. You'll want to make sure you stir it every once in a while. Tomatoes have a lot of sugar contents to them, so they will stick to the bottom, and you don't want that to happen. So I'm stirring this. I'm going to probably let it go ahead and continue to boil for couple of minutes, and then we'll move over to
Are you
the
looking
processor.
for how soft it gets? Is that kind of what you're looking at? Or?
Yeah, you just want to be able to, whenever I go to put it in the food processor, I want it to be able to chunk up and not have chunks of tomato in there. But I'm not going to puree it. Now, if you don't like chunks in your salsa, then you just, you know,
do it how you like it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting ready to do the hot peppers, and you can do jalapeno, you can do habanero, and red chilies, and whatever you happen to have.
Trinidad scorpion pepper?
Maybe one of those in your batch. But regardless of what hot peppers, you're going to want to use some plastic gloves to cut them up. You will know this if you don't use them. Even if you wash dishes all day, cleaning up and everything like that, and at night you go to take your contact lenses out, you will know that you didn't use gloves for your jalapenos. It stays with you forever. One thing on the onions I forgot to tell you, you know, we chopped up all those onions. Have any of y'all chopped onions before? Well, you know, it's kind of a cry fest whenever you're chopping onions. Let me tell you a hack that will work. You just go and get your ski goggles out and put your ski goggles on. And we have many pictures of the boys with ski goggles chopping up onions for me. But it works. You know, I guess it's just that.
It's snow skiing goggles.
Snow skiing goggles.
Yeah, we like snow skiing.
Now you could use water goggles. It's just they're more uncomfortable than ski. So I'm going to chop those up, and I'm putting it. I don't mess with cleaning my processor between it's all going in the same pot anyway. So, but this one we do measure on the peppers. I just put whatever peppers were in there. But on this, you do measure. If you want a hot, and so that's what it looks like. And I'm going to measure this. 1.5 cups will make a hot batch. I kind of need a mild batch here, so I'm probably just going to put like a cup in one of these.
You need to double that.
No, I don't think so.
Now we've got a certain, whenever we do make a hot one, what do we call it?
If we get one that just burn your socks off, we call it beeswax. And there's a story behind that. My husband, his grandfather chewed beeswax tobacco. And as a child, he sat in church, and of course, Grandpa would pull some of that, Grandpa Red Stokes would pull some of that beeswax out and put in his mouth. Probably wasn't supposed to in church, but he'd do it, and some leaves would drop out of his little pouch. And so Phil, as a child, was sitting there, and so he stuck his finger down and got a leaf and stuck it in his mouth. And it was hot. And so when he thinks of something being really hot, he thinks of beeswax tobacco that his grandpa chewed. So I don't know how hot beeswax tobacco is, never tasted it, but if we want to label something hot, really, really, really hot, we call it beeswax. So if any of our jars are labeled beeswax, you know that it's going to be hot. So we'll put some of that in there. And this is, once again, very, very hot. Actually, I have a better one that I like to use. This one right here. It's got a handle. I can hang that handle right there. Okay. It's starting to look a little bit like, so it's got some peppers in there.
All right, here's the confidential, how to get it out of the safe, recipe books.
Here we go. You can have my typed one. That was my original, and here's the typed up one.
The typed up one with a few edited.
With edits.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I will put this down in the show notes, so we'll get it all down.
Boy, it's hard to be precise with this. As you notice, We've got 2 pans here, and this was all the tomatoes that we had. It was too much for 1 pan, but not enough for 2 full batches. So I'm going to be altering my recipe just a little bit as we go. But I pretty much tried to get the, divided about equally there. And I prefer to have the tomatoes up about 2 more inches than this. That would be a full batch. So I'm thinking we're about at 3/4 of a batch here is kind of where I'm thinking we are.
Of a full batch. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each 3/4 on each one. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I come up to here, that
half.
would be a really full batch.
Yeah.
We're a little less than that, so I'm going to alter just a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to put the onions in, and like I said, I already did the onions, and they're frozen here, and so I'm just going to try to just dump them in there. We're swapping all over the place. They will thaw as we cook that. We chopped up, and I kind of talked about this earlier, we chopped up the peppers. This one, I put 1.5 cups of jalapeños in it, and they were fresh, mainly fresh.
But it's mixed in with regular peppers also.
Yes, and then there's regular. Those are just bell peppers, and those other kind of.
So you kind of have one for each one. Okay.
So this one's going to be probably our hot batch, our hotter batch. It's not going to be a real steaming hot batch. If you wanted a steaming hot batch, you put about 3 cups. And I think that says that on the recipe.
Yeah.
This just has the 1 cup is all it has in there of the jalapeno. And they were frozen jalapenos that I had there.
Okay.
That I chopped up. What I'm going to do here is I'm cutting them in just little pieces. Here, let me bring this over here. Little pieces. And
some people say cilantro tastes like soap. That's what Katie says. Tastes like soap. I don't get it.
Well, she eats my salsa, doesn't she?
Oh yeah. But I mean, like if you
go to just buy it to put in a salad or something.
Yeah, or like a taco or something like that.
So I'm just gonna chunk these babies up. Okay, so I've got that all chopped up like I want. So I'm just gonna divide about half of it in here, and put about half of it in here. So I've got the onions in there, the jalapeno, the bell peppers, the cumin, the cilantro, and now we're ready for vinegar. And I use white vinegar on this. I think you could use the apple vinegar just as well. And I'm going to put, it calls for 2 cups. So I'm going to probably put 1 cup, and I'm going to start with 1.5 cups just to start with, and then we'll taste it and we'll go from there. Put 1.5 cups in each of those. And right over here. This little scoop, I happen to know, is 2 tablespoons, which is equivalent to 6 teaspoons. So. And I think it will be okay to go ahead and use, because usually I do a heaping on it, so I'm not going to heap it this time, and I think we'll be fine. But that's just ground cumin, and that's a good smell. Between those 2 smells that we've had there, it's smelling like a Mexican restaurant in here right now.
Oh, yeah.
Got my chili powder here, handy dandy 6 teaspoon dipper. Put that in there, and we'll put that in there. Chili powder. It calls for a whole head or a clump of garlic that's been minced. Well, I cheat on this one, and I get the already minced garlic. And nobody knows. Only you guys know.
Yeah.
That.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anyone. I don't have a clue how much is worth a whole clove, so
that's about a clove there.
Probably my handy dandy little scooper thing. Once again, it's kind of like onions. It's hard to get too many in there. I'm putting about that much in there for that is a precise clove.
Yeah.
Garlic there.
Yeah.
Exact. We're putting 3/4 of a cup of.
How long have you had that measuring cup there?
Oh.
I remember that one.
Ask Tupperware. It's been around for a while.
Yeah.
It's made to have one end you put dry stuff in, the other you put wet stuff in. So.
Well, I recognize that thing.
Yep. Your Aunt Melinda, she's got a coffee cup that your mom, that Grandma Stokes used.
Oh, really?
All the time. And that, it's not really a measuring cup. It's just a cup, and that's her cup. So, I'm not sure how precise that is, how close that is.
She knows how much it is.
Yeah. Phil, if you're watching this, turn the video off at this point.
Don't watch Dad.
My husband has high blood pressure, and so he wants me to cook without any salt at all, 0 salt. Well, I'm sorry, but you gotta have a little bit. So I've skinnied this down on the salt, but you just can't do without it. I tried, and it's just not. It's not good without it. So it's a 1/2 cup, and I mean this is a big, huge pot. A 1/2 cup of salt is not going to be that drastic, I don't think. I'm gonna go a little bit less since our recipe is a little shy here. I'm using right here, which I ran out of, this is canning and pickling salt. And so it's kind of best if you're gonna be canning it or whatever to use this kind of salt. I think, and don't hold me to this, but I think the reasoning is I don't think it has any iodine in it, the iodized salt. I'm not sure what that will do to the canning process, but anyway, use it for pickling and for canning as well. You could technically serve this right now. We are going to cook it another 1.5 hours, just periodically, and we'll do it on a kind of a between medium and high. It'll start boiling. We leave it without a lid, but the gist of it is to get it where it kind of thickens up a little bit more.
There's another ingredient that I said whenever I'm cooking stuff, and Katie asked me, so what'd you put in it? I said, it's made with love.
Yeah.
And this right here is made with love.
Yes, it is.
I know Mom, she thinks about all the people that's going to be enjoying this throughout the year in the winter, and I'm sure she probably gets a little bit of a kick out of knowing that people are going to be enjoying this stuff.
And it does, and it also, what I think about are my grandmother and my mom, doing this with them. And then I've had the joy of my grandkids. Usually, this is unusual for the grandkids not to be in here.
Yeah, I took the place of the grandkids this time.
And so it's just getting family together. We got a project, a goal to have to reach, and seeing that, and then getting to sit down at the table and sharing that. So, do you want to taste this?
Yep, I'm gonna try it.
Let me get you some chips here.
If this is the spicy, that's one I.
That's the hotter one. It's not a real hot one. I can already tell you that. It's not going to be your favorite.
Here, I want to do it. Not bad. I'm gonna say it's probably like a mile.
Medium. You think that's a mile?
All right, so we've got it cooked down
Yep.
for about an hour and a half.
Yes, and what I've done here is I've put my lids inside my little pan of water, just cover them with water. I'm going to put them on, get them to boiling, and that's about, but what that does is softens up that little rubber seal that's around the tops of the lids. So I'm going to put my little handy dandy little funnel there. And that's boiling now, so you want to turn it off and let it just set while I'm doing this. I think I can get 8 or 9 of these pint jars in my hot water bath. So what I'm doing here is I'm filling it to about 1/4 of an inch from the top of the jar. So I'm just going to fill me about 9 of these. I think it's 8 or 9 that I can get in there, and then we'll work with it. So I've got them all filled here. And this is a really important step. You've got to have the tops of these jars extremely clean. So what I've got here is just a wet paper towel, and I'm just going along. I'm doing 2 things as I do this. I'm cleaning it off, but I'm also feeling, is there a chip in the top of the jar? If the jar is chipped, you might as well just throw it away. All right, now this is where that handy dandy little magnet tool comes into play. Set this over here, and I can just pull those babies out, place on top, put a ring on it, and screw it down. Tight, just, you know, just tight to the turn of your hand. And you can put them in and take them out the same way without causing too much of a burn. What the idea behind this is, you want, and it's a little bit deep on the water, so I'm going to take some out because it will start bubbling up. You want that water to cover about 1 inch over the top of the jars. So I just guessed when I put the water in there, and it's a little bit much, but you can always take out and add. Of course, if you have quart jars, you have to have more. But it's covered, and so now we're going to turn that baby on high, put the lid on it. When it starts boiling, we will start the timer, and we will process these for 30 minutes. Alrighty, so we've processed this, and it's been going for the 30 minutes there. And so I've turned it off, but it's still going to kind of boil a little bit. And we're ready to take these jars out. So you grab your little handy dandy little jar grabber, and you're going to want to, you'll know if you've got a good seal in a couple of ways. First off, you're going to hear it here in just a minute. If we're lucky, you're going to hear it pop. But when these start cooling down, it starts, the air starts contracting, and so it'll pull that seal down, that lid down, and you'll hear it pop. It's just a definite pop to it. And you'll see it. Now the lids, you probably can't tell from the video, but the lids are kind of pushed up, and it will actually suck the lids down, and so they'll look kind of concave, and you can feel them. If I were to touch them right now, they would go down. Maybe not. But if you can touch them and push them down after they've cooled, then you've not got a good seal. And so if that happens, you can take the lid off, just take everything off, clean the top of it. Look, you might have had a chip in the top of your jar. If you did, throw that jar away and put your stuff in another jar. But you can clean the top of it, and I would get you a whole new lid, put that lid back on there, and you can try it again if you don't get a seal. So, you know, once in a while.
Or you just eat that salsa.
Or you just eat that salsa. You're going to hear it, it's going to pop, and you're going to see it go down, and you can feel it, you know, as you go down. So you'll know here in just a little bit.
Hey!
Oh, yay, we got one. That's about it. Once they cool completely, they'll be cool to the touch. Right now you couldn't pick these up. They'll be cool to the touch, and you'll take the rings off. Make sure, you know, feel all of them, make sure they're good seals. And you'll take the rings off, you'll wash them in just clear soapy water, you know, and wash them off, dry them good, and then I label the tops. And so I'll put the date, like 7 of 22, and then I'm gonna put if this is a hot, medium, or mild batch that I've got. Derek and I and Phil, we've eaten some of this, and we think this is probably between a medium to a hot. So I may
low medium is what it is.
Yeah, Derek thinks it's a low medium. So we'll probably label these medium. The other batch,
yeah.
Oh, did you hear it?
Yeah.
The other batch that we're going to do here, Derek's actually going to do it on his own. We'll see how that turns out. It's going to be labeled a mild. So the hardest part is just keeping the jars separate until we get them marked. So we mark them correctly as we put them away. So that's about it. That's canning salsa.
All right, so we finished with the salsa, and it turned out really well. I learned quite a bit. I just was always just on a few stages of it. And Mom actually let me kind of finish up on some of this. She had some work she had to do. She's an accountant also. So we made 36 pints, I guess these are pint size, jars of salsa. And we'll just, time will tell. Well, not really time will tell. I already know it's good. Some good stuff. But lids are a-popping, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty good scald on some salsa. So I'm going to tell you guys something real quick. She has one other secret ingredient in this, and I'm going to tell you what it is. It was made with love. Mom, she's always done a great job with us boys, taking care of us, and this is just something that we've always had part of our lives, and canning and gardening and everything. So she does a really good job with this. So I'm going to have in the show notes down below, I'm going to have the recipe for this and a few of the directions. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know on there. I might not be able to answer them straight, but I will get with her, and it might take a little bit of time, but I'll get with her, and we'll get these answered. So we might even do a live one of these days. If you guys think that'd be good, I don't know, maybe doing some canning on something else. We've got some more things that we'll be canning here in the future. So I think that about does it. So thanks again for watching here, and really appreciate all your kind comments, and we will catch you next time on the next video. We'll see you guys. Bye.